Whose job is it to decide who lives or dies? Who's to say what is right or wrong, just or unjust? Well, these are some questions that frequently come up and bounce around in our minds when we talk about capital punishment. According to facts about the death penalty from the Death Penalty Information Center accessed on November 26, 2013, the United States ranked 5th for the highest number of executions. This has always been a controversial issue and needs to be taken seriously and analyzed in order to decide if it's the right solution for serious crimes. I've always found the death penalty to be a very interesting and puzzling topic, and I've always held a constant opinion on this issue. So I've spent some time researching more about the death penalty and its morality. Today you will hear my view regarding the death penalty. You will agree with me that it's a cruel and inhumane practice, and therefore vote for me as your president. The death penalty is inhumane and unjust for several reasons. One reason is that the death penalty is a cruel and unusual punishment. We can almost certainly agree that punishment is necessary for any kind of crime committed. And depending on the severity of the crime will the punishment be determined. But the question regarding this statement is, at what level of punishment is considered too cruel? When is it our call to decide how a person must suffer and if they should continue to live? Another reason why the death penalty is unjust is because it has no dissuasive effect. Studies have failed to prove that executions deter people from committing crimes against anyone than life in prison. A life in prison sentence should be considered a more deserving punishment than the death penalty because the victim spends the rest of their life living with the crime they committed. The death penalty is inhumane because it is also very expensive. For example, practicing the death penalty leaves Florida with $51 million a year to pay above what it would cost to punish a first-degree murder with life in prison without parole. And it only seems logical to not have to worry about that much money when it could be used to assist the victim's prison time or the families of murder victims. Now that you understand why the death penalty is inhumane and unjust, I will now present you with an alternative that will lead you to agree with my stance on capital punishment and vote for me as your president. Because everyone deserves the right to life, a life in prison sentence is a better and more effective alternative than the death penalty. The death penalty needs to be scratched out from our society, and the first step is raising awareness of this issue and an understanding of why it is the ultimate denial of human rights. The National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty from ncadp.org, accessed on November 25, 2013, is the perfect organization that works towards the abolition of the death penalty in every state individually. To be a part of this organization against the death penalty, you can go to the National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty's website and join the movement and support their efforts. Each state is different and has different laws to follow, but with the goal of abolishing the death penalty, we can all work towards the same mission. If a state wishes to abolish the death penalty, the state legislators must propose to their governor to repeal the law that legalizes the death penalty and make an amendment to eradicate it completely. The governor can then approve their repeal and officially abolish the death penalty from that state. I believe that once the death penalty has been abolished, we can enforce the alternative measure for punishment, which is prison sentencing. The American Civil Liberties Union agrees with this alternative. They said in 2008, sentencing people to die in prison is the sensible alternative for public safety and murder victims' families. A life in prison without parole sentence is more effective because it is cheaper to taxpayers, it keeps violence offenders off the streets, and it allows victims to correct their mistakes. By eradicating the death penalty, we can clearly see the benefits and now visualize other outcomes. Without the death penalty, a new and safe world can be envisioned. Imagine safe neighborhoods and compassion for all victims of crime. Crime rate would be reduced because we can identify the root causes of crime and violence and keep violence offenders off the streets. We also believe in the right to life, and having compassion for victims ensures their dignity and sanctity of life, despite the crime they committed, no matter how severe and extreme. We know how expensive the death penalty can be, and it only makes sense to use this money in better ways for our community if the death penalty was abolished. If the money used for death sentences is redirected in a careful and targeted way, we can reduce crime, improve our communities, and save money. The National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty from ncadp.org, accessed on November 25, 2013, believes we can use all that money to support early childhood education, increase high school graduation rates, for mental health services and drug and alcohol treatment services as well. Furthermore, the death penalty is an inhumane and unjust practice, and the abolition of this practice is a needed plan of action and will improve our society. To work towards our goal, please join the National Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty and vote for me as your president. We all deserve the right to life, and it is not our call as a society to decide who lives and who dies. And we're all human, aren't we? Every human life is worth the same and worth saving. Just as Thomas Jefferson said, the care of human life and happiness, and not their destruction, is the first and only object of good government. Thank you.